So you clicked over here to find out if it's difficult to be married to an entrepreneur. That tells me that you're probably thinking about either marrying an entrepreneur or spending a significant amount of your life with an entrepreneur.
I love you! I love you! I love you!
Maybe you're just weirdly curious to find out if your marriage is as messed up as other people's marriages are who are married to entrepreneurs. And so I'm going to try to answer this question for you today, not from the spouse's perspective, because I'm not my spouse, but I can answer it from someone who's been an entrepreneur for 13 years, but also been married for 15 years. And so I think I might be able to give you some insight as to the things that you can expect when you're married to an entrepreneur. And the first thing that I would talk about or mention that I think could be significant to most people is an entrepreneur's life tends to fluctuate. And what I mean by that is based on the size of their business or the size of their income, things can go up and things can go down. And so depending on how much security and how much the sameness of everything is important to you, it really will determine how enjoyable the time spent with your significant other entrepreneur may or may not be. See, because as an entrepreneur, we tend to plan big and win big, and sometimes we also lose big. And so having someone there who believes in us no matter what is going on is super, super important. And probably one of the most difficult things of being married to an entrepreneur is that ability to be their cheerleader even when you might be a little bit scared. So for instance, with my situation, my wife is probably my biggest cheerleader. And what I mean by that is I never have to wonder whether or not she believes in me or whether or not she's going to cheer me on. And I've also proven, though, through a series of years and successes that I'm pretty reliable when it comes to generating income. With that said, it can also be scary for her, though, because one time she got laid off and lost her job, which meant we lost our health insurance. We had to figure that out before she got a new job. It's also meant in times where when the pandemic happened, I lost 85% of my income. I'll repeat that.
85% of my income
disappeared in about 45 days during the beginning of the pandemic. I knew that I had time to figure that out as I had money in savings, and then luckily the PPP came out and then things began to turn around and now things are booming again. But for my spouse, I imagine that was pretty difficult. And so being married to an entrepreneur puts you in a funny position where not only are you someone's spouse, but you're also kind of their therapist, their cheerleader, and also the person who's going to try to pick them up when they fall down. If none of that sounds attractive to you, probably marrying an entrepreneur isn't a great idea, because many times what seems like this glorious, beautiful thing on TV of being an entrepreneur with all your pals and buddies and you're in the wolf pack, or however you want to refer to it, you're hashtag girl boss or lady boss or boss bitch or whatever it is you want to refer to yourself as, it's lonely. And it doesn't even appear lonely, especially if you're successful, because it looks like you have all the things in the world that you want, including flexibility and freedom and the ability to make your own income. And when your goal is driven, many times, even when you have success, the things that you notice as the entrepreneur are the things that you missed, which could also drive the wife or spouse or husband nuts, because they want you to see, like, no, you've had this level of success. Like, you should be happy and cheerful and woohoo. But all inside, all you feel is like, yeah, I know I reached like A, B, and C, but I missed D. Another thing to consider to you would be, are you marrying someone that you know you believe in, that has some sort of history, proven track record of being an entrepreneur, or are you marrying someone because you think they're going to be rich? So some of the best advice I was ever given by my first ever business mentor was never marry someone for who you think they might become, right? And so in other words is you don't want to step into a lifelong commitment based off of what your projections are of who this person might turn out to be. Oh, they're going to be nicer, they're going to be kinder, they're going to be richer, they're going to be skinnier, they're going to be fatter, they're going to be more successful. Whatever it is that you think they might become, well, just know that when you're tying the knot, you're tying the knot with who they are right now. And they may never change. And so, but you want to be sure that the person you're marrying provides you with whatever it is that the security is that matters to you. So if that means you want to be a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home spouse, well then you want to make sure that that's part of their goals too, because you want these things to align. It's going to be pretty important as you get older. Another thing to understand about entrepreneurs is that they're always on. I mean, like, we can take vacations and things, but in essence, an entrepreneur, especially an entrepreneur with a smaller business, is almost always on, because a client could text us or email us or an emergency happens. And if that's a real big thing for you, like, no, you need to be able to turn it off and leave it alone and all that, well, then you want to consider that and talk with your spouse about it and have time set aside for each other when you know that it's just you and your spouse. And That way you don't have to worry about like the 24-hour workday and that type of thing. Just know that you can set some boundaries, and it's best to discuss this type of thing ahead of time and know what you expect of them and know what they expect of you. I think the best part of being married to an entrepreneur, though, is the flexibility. But that flexibility is such a beautiful thing, right? Because in most cases, entrepreneurs can have a little bit more flexibility than someone working a job. And flexibility doesn't just mean that they can take Friday afternoon off. It also means that if they want a raise, then they know how to get it, right? They just need to do more of whatever it was that they did that started creating the income, which is really exciting. Because if you're planning a family, or you want goals, or maybe you want to work for your significant other someday, well then they already know what they need to do. They just need to do more of it. And then all you need to do is keep doing more of what you've done, which is cheer them on and be a part of it and believe in them and pick them up when they're falling down, and know that you're significant too. And know that you're probably more significant to them than they are to them. Because you're the person that believes in them in the darkest hour. When everything does collapse, they turn to you. When their idea doesn't work, they turn to you. When funding falls through, they share that with you. And can you handle that pressure? Can you be there to help pick them up, cheer them on, and to allow them space to process and find mentors and grow as a person? Because if you can, being married to an entrepreneur, in my opinion, could be pretty darn exciting. You can live a life that other people just imagine because of the flexibility and the income and the eventual wealth that you can in fact build. So I hope this helps answer your question. If you have any advice for people who are thinking about being married to an entrepreneur, I hope you drop it in the comment section below. I release videos every single Thursday about business, marketing, and finding life's balance. And if you find this helpful, I hope you'll subscribe. If you have a question specifically about any of those 3 topics, I hope you'll leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer your question in my next video. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time.
I go and create the pressure, yeah. You wish that you can do better, You wish that you can do better, yeah. I know that I can do better. I'm so in love with the cheddar.